Once upon a time, a terrible story happened in a town called Bradley, North Carolina, which shocked the entire community. It was in the early 1990s when a serial killer known as the Dark Blade appeared in the area. His real name was Michael Walker, but his crimes were so terrible that the public came up with a creepy pseudonym for him. The Dark Blade chose its victims with mind-boggling precision. He attacked young women returning home late at night. He used his American image and charm to get close to his victims, and then, when they were in the safety of their homes, he dealt them fatal blows. The Dark Blade continued its brutal attacks on the Bradley women, and it seems that no security measures could stop it. The city authorities were at a complete loss, and fear gripped every resident. It was not known when or where he would strike again. One day, on a cold autumn evening, a young woman named Emily, returning from work, became another victim of the Dark Blade. She felt that she was being watched, and tried to speed up her pace. But the darkness thickened around her, and suddenly a dark silhouette appeared in front of her. Michael Walker, the embodiment of cruelty and evil, approached Emily with an icy look. He didn't show any emotion, only coolness and determination on his face. He came so close that she could hear him breathing. Her heart was pounding wildly, and her legs refused to serve. She tried to scream, but his chilling hand hovered over her mouth, making it impossible to make a sound. She was his prisoner, and he enjoyed her fear. Then, with an indifferent expression, he took out his cold blade from his belt. Emily was horrified when she realized that her life depended on this man. The Dark Blade struck her several times, and the world around her became a bloody hell. Her eyes went out, and he indifferently walked away into the night, allowing the darkness to absorb the traces of his crime. However, I must warn you that the upcoming story will be extremely dark and scary. If you are not ready to face the horrors of this narrative, I recommend that you stop reading. Your imagination will become a field of fear and horror, which I am obliged to convey to you. On that cold autumn evening, when Michael Walker, known as the Dark Blade, completed his brutal attack on Emily, in a terrifying mask of evil, he secretly escaped from the crime scene. His heart was permeated with pleasure from the bloody show he had put on, and he enjoyed every drop of fear spilled by his victims. But at the same time, something even more airy was happening in the darkness of the city. In the dense darkness, an elusive masked man secretly entered Emily's father's house. His goal was clear: to take her father and return to the night unnoticed. A gloomy figure glided through the shadows, waiting for the right moment for its ruthless action. After a while, when everyone was at peace, a masked man entered Emily's father's bedroom. He quietly covered his mouth and dragged him unconscious into the darkness of the night. An unknown silence reigned in the house, and in the morning, when the sun began to rise above the horizon, fear and horror struck the whole family. Emily's father wasn't there. Every corner of the house was searched, but no trace of his disappearance was found. The hearts beat faster, and the living walls seemed darker. Panic gripped the souls of all, and mother and daughter suffered from anxiety. After the disappearance of Emily's father, darkness and horror reigned in Radley. The authorities tried unsuccessfully to solve the mystery of the disappearance, but Emily's house has already become a place of dark secrets. She could not forget the terrible events of the night when the Dark Blade attacked her and took her father. So days, weeks and months passed. However, one day, when everything seemed hopeless, Emily got a strange message on her phone. She couldn't believe her eyes when she read the inscription, "Do you still want to play?" Her heart freezes with fear, but at the same time she feels a strange attraction to this mysterious message. She decides to answer yes and immediately receives another message. So, the game begins. Emily is trapped. Events begin to unfold rapidly, as in an ominous dream. Darkness engulfs her, and she finds herself in a place that was once her home. All the walls with bloody traces remind of the past horror. The Dark Blade stands before her in a mask of evil. He laughs deeply, and his cold eyes pierce Emily's soul. There's no one around but the two of them. She feels that her consciousness is mixed with nightmares. "Welcome to my horror world, Emily," the Dark Blade says with a distorted voice. Now you will know what real fear means. Everything around is bleeding, as if living walls are turning into living flesh. Death and horror reign here. Emily tries to run away, but her legs seem to be tied to the place. She can't escape from her nightmare. Events are becoming more and more gloomy and bloody. Uncontrollable nightmares overtake Emily, and her mind is riddled with terrible visions. She no longer knows what is reality and what is a nightmare. So this dark, nightmarish world continues, and no one can escape from its embrace. All attempts to escape are unsuccessful. No one can get up after such horrors. Everyone is bleeding. Eventually, Emily realizes that she is entangled in a web of her own fears and dark demons. After a pause, her body was sewn unconscious. All her hands were cut. After a while, Emily's consciousness returns to the real world. She is on the floor of her house, surrounded by her family. Everything was just a nightmare, but the fear remained in her heart. The recording message was just a catalyst for her inner fears. Now, having realized her weaknesses and strength, she is ready to face life and its secrets. This is how our terrible story ends, filled with blood, horrors and nightmares. At the end of the story, after Emily realized her fears and strength, she decided to share her experience and creepy adventure with the world. She has created her own YouTube channel called Mr. Scary Stories. On this channel, Emily started telling scary stories, nightmares and mystical adventures. She has collected a collection of the most creepy stories and frightening scenarios to immerse viewers in the world of horror. With each new video, subscribers of Mr. Scary Stories learned about different aspects of fear and its manifestations in everyday life. Emily became not only a storyteller, but also a mentor, helping her viewers to accept their fears and cope with them. The Mr. Scary Stories channel has become popular and has received a huge number of subscribers. People from all over the world found inspiration in him to dare and conquer their own nightmares. Emily has become a source of hope and support for everyone who has faced the dark sides of life. In each video, she ended her stories with a question: are you ready to plunge into the world of horror and accept your fears? Subscribe to the Mr. Scary Stories channel and let's explore the dark corners of our world together. Thus, Emily found her vocation in uncovering mystical secrets and scary stories, helping people cope